Let me just start off by saying that there is no quote-unquote bad companion in Fallout New Vegas. Some are clearly better than others, but at the end it all comes to just personal preference. I am just sharing my preference in this video. Also, keep in mind that this is not a list where I judge the companions in terms of their combat or gameplay. This list totally focuses on their personality and their story. With all that being said, let's get started. At number 8 is Rex, the cyber dog companion you get from the king. He served as a regular police dog for the Denver Police Department. At one point in his life, he became a war dog for Caesar's Legion, but when the Legion lost the Battle of Denver, he somehow got out and ended up in Freeside. After that, the king rescued him, and together with the followers treated him. It is a very interesting backstory and shows how much Rex has suffered throughout the course of his 207-years-old life. He might be the best dog companion in the series, but when you compare him to any other companions, he just doesn't have any chance.
Subject E, diagnosis complete. Begin recording.
At number 7 is Eddie, the iBot Duraframe named Subject E. He was made as an enhancement of the original iBots by Dr. Whitley, which can also aid in combat as opposed to just mobile radio transmitters. He was the first prototype of this series and was to be used to produce more for the East Coast Enclave. But during the fight between the Brotherhood and the Enclave, they decided to stop this project and scrap all the iBots to produce resources for their Hellfire armor. Dr. Whitley, who always seen Eddie more than just a robot, could not accept it and sent him to Navarro outpost of the Enclave with a huge amount of data on the Poseidon energy plant. Eventually, Eddie reached the Mojave Desert, where it was shot by a raider. He still carried his journey, but had to eventually deactivate himself near Prim, where Jonathan Nash found him. Now Eddie is just a robot with an AI, but it's the story of Dr. Whitley which makes this companion special. All he wanted was to use his research to help the Enclave, but time and time he was treated like nothing by the Enclave, and when the order came to destroy the iBots, he just couldn't take it anymore. My own theory is he didn't really know how much horrible things the Enclave had done during that period because he does not seem like a guy who will keep helping them even after knowing what they do to people. But this is just a theory. Next at number 6 we have Lily. I was kinda hesitant between who to put in number 6 between Raul and Lily, but decided to go with Lily. Lily was born in Vault 17 where she lived 75 years of her life. She had 2 grandchildren and was ready to die a peaceful death after a happy and normal life. But in 2153, the Super Mutant Master raided the vault and killed a lot of people. They turned Lily into a Nightkin, and she was part of a group that butchered a lot of people. Eventually, the Vault Dweller put an end to the Master, and Lily decided to go home. During this time, she started hearing voices in her head who she named Leo. This Leo made her more violent whenever she heard the voices. While looking for her vault, she discovered Jacobstown and relocated there. Dr. Henry saw her psychotic breakdowns and gave her a medicine that made her less violent, but also made her memory fuzzy upon taking them. It is a story of a woman who had a normal life till the very end and was ready to finally die a peaceful death. But what happened to her is truly heartbreaking. From here, the best ending for her, at least in my opinion, is to die in the end, because living as this monster is worse than death. Moving on at number 5, we have Raul. Raul Alfonso Tejada was born just outside Mexico City in a ranch called the Hidalgo Ranch. Even before the war, Raul lived in a life of crime, but was protected by his family. But when the bombs fell, all hell broke loose. Their farm was pretty far from where the bombs fell, so they still were alive, but more and more refugees from Mexico City came to them for food. Raul's family eventually had to turn them down because it was getting harder and harder to get food and supplies. Some people did not take it kindly and set fire in the ranch. Only Raul and his sister Rafaela survived. After that, they went to Mexico City, but neither had any idea what the radiation can do. Soon, Raul started getting sick with radiation poisoning and the first signs of ghoulification started appearing. One of these days, Raul got too sick and his sister went out to collect some supplies and was brutally murdered by some raiders. Raul then left Mexico City and headed for Tucson, leaving every identity of his previous life behind. One of the brothel girls, Claudia, reminded him of his sister, but he never said her anything, just protected her in his own way. But one day, a group of tribals came into town. They killed 4 brothel girls and took Claudia for their own pleasure. Raul, furious with rage, went after them, but by the time he caught up to them, Claudia was already executed. In his rage-induced state, he killed all the tribals, even after getting shot himself multiple times. He somehow survived and left 2 sons and eventually ended up in Black Mountain. It is a story of a man who has been broken too many times. Even when he tried to find a slither of happiness, all he has found is eternal pain. Whomever he tried to protect has turned to a corpse. He tries to keep a sarcastic personality in front of the courier, but after listening to some of the folks who have gone through hell and still bounced back, he asks you if it's too late or can he still make a difference. I convinced Raul that he can still make a difference, and he goes back to his old glory. Number 4 is Arcade Gannon. I know Arcade is the favorite companion of some people because of his great personality and the cool reveal that he is part of Enclave, but I think the other 3 deserve it more. Let me explain. Arcade was born in Navarro military base. He was the son of an Enclave officer who died when Arcade was pretty young. He helped the followers of the Apocalypse in various researches until you find him. When he fully trusts you, he reveals that he was a son of an Enclave officer. He tells you that he wants to make a contribution in the upcoming war, and then you and him gather the remnants. Here's why I think even if we never do that, it doesn't really matter. Arcade was already helping people by aiding them along with the followers of Apocalypse. The whole point of this quest is if his father would be proud of what he is doing, and I think he would. At the end of the day, he is still going to contribute in the war by treating injured citizens and soldiers. And I think that's a way more of a noble goal than fighting alongside with any of the main 4 factions. My Arcade at the end goes back to help the followers instead of joining the fight. Point is, no matter what happens, Arcade still fulfills his goals. That quest doesn't really do a whole lot in fleshing the character out except at the end, while the other 3 companion quests completely changes what happens to them next. At number 3 is Cass. Rose of Sharon Cassidy was the daughter of John Cassidy and a tribal woman from the east of Colorado. From childhood, she was a very aggressive and violent girl. She also had a fondness for whiskey, which gave her the name Whiskey Rose. She was also very fond of traveling. So she made a caravan called Cassidy Caravan, which both satisfied her traveling habit, along with her income. In her quest, we find out that Crimson Caravan and the Van Graffs destroyed all of her caravan patrols, killing every caravanners. My Cassidy gathers evidence against them and hands them up to the NCR, which in future puts a hole through both the Van Graffs and the Crimson Caravan Company. Personality-wise, she is really brave, violent, and uses vulgar language every single opportunity she gets.
They try to put their stake in everything they see. Nobody's dick's that long. Not even Long Dick Johnson, and he had a fucking long dick. Thus the name.
But she still has a big heart, which she shows at various points during the investigations. Personally, she is my second favorite companion because of her no-fucks-given attitude, but even I can't ignore the other 2 excellently written characters. At the second place is Boone. Craig Boone is a man with a dark past. He was once a soldier of the NCR. In 2278, he was sent in Bitter Springs to retaliate against the Great Khans. They didn't know it was the Great Khan's main settlement. Several elders, women, and children came out there to escape that situation. During that time, the communication with the NCR command failed to identify the situation and ordered the team keep firing until they were out of ammunition. Boone and the rest of the soldiers opened fire just to follow orders. Boone's life was completely darkened after that. But he found light at the end of the tunnel. In the New Vegas Strip, he met a woman named Carla. She was both charming and was like a blossoming flower. She helped him forget about the incidents in the Bitter Spring Massacre. After marrying Carla, they settled in Novak. He got a job as the town watchman, but the happiness ended pretty early. Jeannie Mae Crawford of Novak sold Carla to the Legion one night. Boone, after finding out that his wife is missing, went out to find her and found her in a Legion outpost in the southwest Mojave. The place was swarming with Legion. There was no way he could kill all of them. So he did the only best thing. He mercy killed Carla with one headshot. After that, Boone returned to Novak to find out who set his wife up. After you help him find the truth, Boone agrees to come along with you. He thinks what he did to those innocent people came back to him as his wife's death. This guy is the Max Payne of Fallout New Vegas. Characters like these are what remind me how great of a game Fallout New Vegas is. This guy is drowning in guilt and regrets and just wants to die. At the end of his quest, I told him that there's nothing he can do to change his past, but he can use his regrets to go in a better path. The moral of the story is we can't change what we did in the past, but just standing there is not the solution either. Instead, using those past mistakes to figure out what you don't want to be and what you do want to be is the best way to go. My favorite companion is Veronica. When you first meet her, she is this charming and joyful girl, and by the end she's just broken by betrayal from her own people. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. Veronica Santangelo was born into the Brotherhood. Both her father and mother died with the battle with the NCR. After that, Father Elijah raised her. She showed an interest in engineering work from a very young age and became a scribe of the Brotherhood. She also fell in love with a girl named Christine Royce, but she and her family soon left the Brotherhood. After the Helios 1 incident, Elder McNamara ordered a lockdown that was still going on during the events of the game. In my scenario, I chose Hardin as the Elder who lifted the lockdown and want to attack the NCR. But with limited amount of recruits, it is impossible to take on the giant NCR army. Still, Elder Hardin decided to carry on his mission of taking on the NCR, because he believed that the NCR is no match against their tech like the power armors or the energy weapons. Veronica, however, believed that without new recruits there's no chance, and told the Elder that the Brotherhood should start recruiting outsiders like followers. She even showed him evidence that weapons like the pulse gun exist that can turn the power armors into nothing within a few shots. But the brainwashed Brotherhood refused to listen to her, and realizing that she can't do this anymore, she opted to leave the Brotherhood and join the followers. But some Brotherhood members killed all of the followers in the tower and accused her of being a traitor. At the end, Veronica was heartbroken after all of that. The people who she thought of as her family not only misunderstood her, but so easily tried to kill her. She believed all of that death was her fault, even though it clearly wasn't. This companion shows just how fragile the Brotherhood's ideology and how brainwashed their minds are. Imagine it as the Fallout 4 mission, but better. Anyway, the things she went throughout this game is horrifying. And it's above all because all that happens in front of your own eyes, as opposed to other companions who have gone through hell, but all of that happened before the game. Veronica is my favorite companion, and it will never change. And with that, I end this video. Thank you if you stuck around for this long listening to me mumbling. It was a joy to make this video. Fallout New Vegas has some deep characters, and it's always a joy to know more about them. From now on, I plan to cover a lot of these type of topics. Of course, the mod videos will still be coming. With all that being said, thanks again. See you in the next one.